straight, controllers on the plate. We talk game worlds, old rules, new fights. Crits in the dark and theories all night. So lean in close, we got more to say. We're Logan and Brad here to brighten your day. My dude, my guy. Say it out loud. My dude, my guy. We're nerding it out from D&D dreams to boss fight pride. My dude, my guy. Come take the
Hello everybody and welcome to My Dude,
My guy.
I'm Brett, and as always I'm here with my dude Logan. And today we're just going to have a bit of a chat about some of the influences on us, I suppose. Just like some of the characters that have been like really important to us as we've as we grew up when we were kids and things like that, and then even into adult life, just those inspirations, I suppose. So
Could be quite a sentimental episode.
I think so.
I think it'll be nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's always nice to sort of think back about like, holy shit, yeah, actually that did leave quite a mark. And I think it was sort of quite telling when we did our like our first episode and we did that like top 10, like that quick fire round of like questions. There was a few things that sort of came out there, and I think they'll probably come back to us, won't they? I think when we talk about this.
Yeah,
so
most likely. I think elaborating on it, yeah.
So my dude, do you want to go first?
You want me to roll with it? Okay, damn.
Yeah. Unless I don't mind
okay.
going first. It's up to you.
Cool. So, heroes or characters, in theory, not necessarily heroes, but characters that made us.
So I think, like, yeah, what do you think was the first thing where you was really like, okay, yeah, I really like this character, and I really like what they do. I like their attitude. I like the way they behave. Just anything like that, I suppose.
So I grew up quite constantly obsessed with like humorous things, very slapstick things, and that probably grew me to Spider-Man with him being so quippy.
Yeah.
And I feel like even sometimes in his most darkest periods, he'll somehow find a light. I feel like that's incredibly important.
Still jesting even at times where it probably
definitely isn't relevant. Like, and
yeah.
I do that 100%. Like, and I know that I shouldn't, but I do. Just because I feel like, as awful as it sounds, not everyone will agree, but there should always be light in a situation that's dark.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like to try and be that light.
I think I can be a lot like that. Yeah.
I feel like that's like where it like started a little bit as well. Like I don't know how much we're going into things with like relations and things like that. Like
as much as you want.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna hit it real fucking hard right now. So like when I first found out that my papa passed, it was like early in the morning, like really early. We had loads of people around, everyone finding out the news and stuff. And I got told, and everyone just looked at me real quietly. And I was like, okay. And I just quietly left and went to the bathroom. Naturally, cried my eyes out. Didn't believe it. And then I came back out, and I was just like, whatever you do, guys, just don't use the towel in there because it's soaking wet, and I don't know why. But obviously, my eyes are bloodshot, and everyone just like had a little giggle in the moment of obviously just that kind of thing. It wasn't obviously hilarious, but it was like an icebreaker for such a tense situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like, to be fair, my dad was very much like that anyway. He was very like try and find some sort of light, in a dark situation, try to pick people's spirits up. So again, a lot with that, and I attach to comical characters a lot. And when I was struggling to find out who I was and how am I going to build as a person, so to say, I used to embody characters when I couldn't. I briefly spoke to you about this last time.
Yeah.
And basically there was, if I liked the character so much, it influenced a lot of, well, a full persona really. Like Steve Stifler was one of them in school. That was, oh man, that was so rough.
What
Like
what a role model.
it's just, oh dude, like the things he was saying, it just resonated with me. It's like, fucking right, doggy, it's good cake. And like literally and shit like that. So I'd be like just around school and things like that, I'd just be like saying that constantly or doing his like little giggles like he's like doing all that kind of stuff. And I put like a profile picture of Steve Stifler on Facebook. I changed my name on Facebook to Steve Stifler. I asked
No
people at
way.
school to. This was in year 9 as
Oh
well,
my
dude.
wow.
This
That is
was
just
rough.
fucking yeah.
So looking back at it, I'm like, oh god, dude, what are you doing?
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean,
But I started like laughing for so long and things like that. Like it kind of like blended into the next persona that I consumed, which, if any of you watched New Girl, was Schmidt.
yeah.
Except I took it a bit more extreme this time.
Okay.
I didn't change my name on Facebook. I didn't put Schmidt on Facebook as a profile picture. This time I just went full method acting, but this was in college. Now I'm a bit older. So this is like rough, man. And his persona and mannerisms, I just looked up to it.
Yeah.
And so I was wearing cardigans. I was dressing like I had satchels and stuff. I was like trying to look real good and real nice all the time. Introducing myself as Schmidt, acting exactly like Schmidt himself. And I was like, oh god, people asking me if I'm Jewish. Obviously, I have to lie and say no. I mean, that's the wrong way around. I'm not Jewish. I'd have to lie and say yes.
Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah.
Because you can't say my name's Schmidt and be like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not Jewish.
So like, obviously, without getting like too deep into stuff, but do you think that was also like a bit of escapism for what had happened?
100%.
You know, like
100%.
what happened with like your dad and stuff. Do you think?
Absolutely. Well, that was more of a time where it started to impact me more with the whole Schmidt thing, and I think it was more just trying to embody a persona that just seemed light and fun instead of me trying to figure my own stuff out.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like an escape thing, 100%.
Yeah.
And then it was more like coming to realizations when I'm older of just accepting just what you are and just using it. But as time went on, because I did the Schmidt thing for so long, it started to just blend. I started to like phase the Schmidt thing out and then become Logan. And that kind of manifested this merge.
Mm.
So like sometimes I'll do these mannerism things which can pass off as very Jake Peralta-y.
Yeah.
Which in an essence is sometimes quite Schmitty.
Mm.
So it's kind of like that, and but obviously it's heroes like a good old Goku,
Yeah.
and things like that. Like just, oh man, that is a dude that he just doesn't care who he is,
Yeah.
and like the only person he's nervous in front of usually is Chi Chi.
Yeah. The old ball and chain.
Yeah, literally, it's always a woman.
Ah.
Damn those.
Yeah.
And Deadpool was a massive one for me. Like,
Okay.
but he was more of a careless thing. So I went through a point where when I was starting to obsess with Deadpool, I became a little careless with how I was making my jokes and how I was being funny, because I was just like, oh, he can get away with it.
Mm.
A fictional character that doesn't die. So, you know what I mean? So I was pushing boundaries and stuff, but yeah, and then Deadpool showed me that it's being who you are is one thing, but it's okay to be a bit chaotic as well within a control.
Yeah.
Like I get these tattoos and things like that for a representation of a little personality trait that I continue, and that one is like it's okay to be a little bit unhinged. I have Spider-Man to show me that childlike in nature is always a very good thing.
Yeah.
And I very much stem now that I'm older with my childlike in nature, absolutely.
Mm.
Captain America is a symbol just for his protective stance and his defensive stance to protect what he holds dear.
Yep.
And that is why I got good old Cap. Everyone that is on my body is literally one of my top 5. The 5th one being Wolverine, that is not on my body.
Where is
But
it?
Where
Where is
the
it?
name Logan. I wanted
Fair point.
like slits here, but then I was a little worried that if I ever went like this,
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's gonna look like a vagina on my fingers.
Yeah,
So,
that's a really good point.
But it'd be 3 of them as well. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna have to really look at a design that's gonna work with for it to look okay. And I don't really want 3 vaginas on my hand. So
yeah, but what about like the classic sort of like 3 silver notches like he has on his gloves? You could just put those on the back of your hand.
yeah, you know what? That's definitely not a bad shout. Like yeah, you know what? That'd be the safe way to do it.
Well, it would, because it would be like totally like, okay, I know exactly what that is. You know, like
Exactly. You
I
wouldn't
know
have people
exactly
going,
what that is. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, it's not vaginas. It's like meant to be like open wounds, as if claws have just come out. You know,
Oh, yeah.
and I know it looks a little bit like a vagina. You wouldn't have to explain that.
Absolutely. My only getaway with like trying to make it blend is after having these, have like a cut mark across the hand there that reveals like an adamantium skeleton. And that would be like your only. But then again, I'm overcomplicating it. I don't want like
exactly
loads of cuts on my hand.
You see, I always sort of think like when you get these sort of comic booky type nods, you kind of want it to be subtle enough that people will either know or they won't know. And if they know, then fucking great. You know, I mean, the amount of time, you know, like this one of the Ouroboros that I've got on my hand, that's from Full Metal Alchemist. Like, it's really obvious, like, there what it is. It's not trying to hide its design. But the thing is, only certain people will know it, because only certain people know what Full Metal Alchemist is and have watched it. And when I was at work the other week, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, this dude, honestly, this guy, he was an absolute ledge, because I was at the counter and I was just talking to him, and they were just trying to get an idea for what they were after. And he'd come in, and he was like, oh, I'm getting married, da 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 da, I need a suit. This is my best man. And I was just trying to get a bit of a picture of what he was after. And I said to him, I said, okay, so when you're getting married, where are you getting married? Kind of suit you want? And talking away. And I noticed his best man's just barely really listening. I can tell he's like, he just don't really look like he's paying attention. And I was like, this guy's a bit of a dick, you know, like he's meant to be the best man, and he looks like he
just calling him out.
Yeah, he just looked like he just couldn't care less, you know. And I thought this guy's a bit rude. And so I carried on talking to the groom, this guy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, his best man just went, I don't know about you, but I don't think we can trust this guy. And I looked at him and I was just like, sorry? I just like laughed. And he went, well, he's a homunculus. Now, and I was like, holy fucking shit, because this symbol there, the Ouroboros from Full Metal Alchemist,
yeah,
all of the homunculus have one somewhere on their body. And it's like a symbol that, you know, you're sort of like an artificial life form, kind of. Okay. There's a bit more to it. But anyway, they're all bad guys anyway. That's the long and short of it. But the fact that he recognised it, and the groom looked down and went, holy shit. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. But I loved it that, like, I mean, other people just look at it and go, oh, that's a cool symbol. But other people, every now and then, will notice it and know what it is. And it's a great conversation piece. And I love that, even though it's like, it's not really subtle, but it kind of is as well, because only people who would know what it was would know what it's referencing. And I kind of think that same, back to the point, that about if you used to get tattoos on your hand, something to do with Wolverine, is that if you got the 3 metal sort of like studs, what are normally on his gloves, instantly I would know what they were, even if it wasn't my idea. But as soon as I saw him, I'd be like, dude's got the 3 slot sort of notches right there for Wolverine. That's fucking badass. And then anyone else who knows about X-Men or superheroes in general, most people know what the fuck Wolverine looks like in comics and shit like that. They'd know. God, yeah. They'd know what they were. And I think that's probably the coolest way to do it, rather than being really over and.
I get that.
You know, that's what I kind of like about tattoos.
going on the whole thing that you were saying, just because I'm going to say it anyway because it's quite niche and I don't see another time that I'd bring it up. My only hand tattoo. It'll be backwards for you guys, but it says Bad New.
Yep.
Now, for anyone that has seen Sunny in Philadelphia, might get this reference. But there's been a few times where I'm serving, or like it's only happened literally twice, and someone's kind of looked at my hand and they've gone, "Is that a Sunny reference?" I was like, "It is," and for you to call it out, I'm going to challenge you. I was like, "Who has it?" It's never mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You see it happen, and the lore of the show is they keep it on him.
Right.
And there's one where they're trying to be like thugs and like look dressed like dealers ish. Like I'm gonna be real stereotypical right now, but they're wearing like vests and they're wearing like super like baggy pants and stuff like tucked in and stuff. And one of the characters is just like sat down with his like arm on his leg, and he's like dipping ink with a safety clip, and he's just dabbing into his arm, putting the word. It was meant to write bad news. This is what like the cast have said, but obviously he gets very distractive and is very attentive, hyperactive. So like you see him doing it and then he stops and starts talking. So he forgot to write the full word bad news.
Right.
And so now it just says bad new. And it's never mentioned that he's doing the tattoo. All you do is you see him in the scene doing the tattoo.
Yep.
And then you see it seasons later, it just says on his forearm, bad new.
That was awesome.
And it's just such a small detail that they'd keep in on a background situation,
Yeah.
and they've kept it. I'm like, I can respect that, and that's quite beautiful.
That's attention to detail, isn't it?
Yeah, so people have correctly seen it and said that it's from that. I'm just like, well done.
That's cool.
Credit to you.
That's cool. That's cool.
And probably another hero that's formed me more from becoming a dad as well. Now, I'm going to sound super cliche, but Kratos.
Oh, okay.
There's these, I loved the original games. I loved them so much. And plus, I'm just a massive geek for Greek mythology. Like, literally, I rage over that stuff. But I literally have Spartan Shield.
Yep.
The Omega sign.
You do.
Disney Hercules. And so seeing him go from the angry state and why he's angry and understanding why he's angry and relating to that when I was in my angry stage when I was younger. And then playing the newer games where he's going through his redemption arc and he's filtering through his own stuff at the same time as trying to be a dad. I was just kind of like, and him teaching his boy about what it sounds like the very things that he would have wanted to have heard when he was angry. And listening to that and things like that, I cried so many times playing the new games.
Yeah.
Like countless times in both of them, if I'm going to be honest. And it's just something so beautiful about it, hence why I have the middle name Kratos. Because I carry it and it holds something dear to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few other characters here and there that help manifest and create that I hold dear. Goku, Gohan, the big ones. Probably, Goku. Just who can laugh like that in the face of danger, really.
Constantly as well.
Absolutely,
pretty much.
It's a bit unhinged, if you ask me personally, but to laugh like that and to after he dies, to be like, "Don't worry, Gohan, it's okay. I'm training." It's like, okay, so your son's just cried, and you're like, "It's okay.
Don't worry. I might be dead, but it's all good.
Literally, I'll see you soon." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I was like, "That is a spirit that I would like to carry."
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that 100%.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna block. I've got mental block, obviously, right now, but
no.
As these conversations happen, and the more we talk, I'll definitely just be like, "Oh, by the way."
Yeah.
But
no. I mean, what about? Because I think in one of your quick fire thing is you said that your favorite hero was Venom.
Yes. Oh,
Uh,
like literally on my arm as well. It's
Yeah.
the only one I didn't mention about the tattoos.
Indeed.
So yeah, he was actually my first largest tattoo as well. It was more about a bond with insanity,
Oh, okay.
and like a lot of people don't like hero Venom. But for me personally, I saw like a lot of things, and obviously comics and the lore of comics, they change dramatically all the time. There's no one solid lore. Like you could compare the movie Venoms, which
No, they
yeah,
don't exist.
I don't really pay attention to that. I just like how he looks a little bit. I just
They,
wish he had the symbol.
they don't exist. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Tom Hardy, a great Eddie. I just wish they
Who's
kept
that?
accurate.
Don't know
Well,
what you're
yeah.
talking about. Don't
But
understand the reference.
uh, so but like I've seen ones where whenever he attaches to someone because he's bonded with them, he's gained an essence of them.
Hmm.
So there's one point where he bonds with Thor and gains Asgardian powers.
Mhm.
And then even when he bonds with someone else, he's carried that over.
Mhm.
And that's obviously why when the main reason why he's meant to be unhinged, because the actual one of the first people he connects to on the planet is Deadpool. And he was so scared that he left him quite quickly. And that's one of the reasons he became slightly more of an unhinged Venom when he met Peter.
Right.
Because he was terrified of the mind of Deadpool.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, and then there's another one later on, which is probably one of my favorite comics. It's Back in Black. I've got it up here.
Mm,
It's
I know the storyline, yeah.
it's like a nice Deadpool Venom suit,
Yeah.
and basically Venom's quite reluctant to rejoin with him, and Deadpool's like persuaded him, kind of like it's okay. Like I was like, I'm a bit better now.
Mm.
Luckily, it is because the first time it was. That's why it looked quite Hulk-like. Have you seen Venom Pool, the original one?
No, I haven't actually. No.
He's like absolutely massive.
Right. So it's that
And
sort of like that super tanky version of Venom then.
yes,
Yeah.
and obviously in Back in Black, it's basically like how Spider-Man is. It's more like a better Bond. That's why he's encased better because the Bond is stronger.
Right.
Because basically, it's allowing. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, people. But from what I've read, the more control you have of the Bond, and you've not let Venom have the full control, the cleaner it is almost.
Right.
That's why when you start to see Peter have it for longer, it becomes a bit more grotesque and stuff.
Okay.
And a little bit more brutal. Eddie is quite unhinged sometimes, hence why it's quite big.
Mm.
Or when Flash Thompson gets it, Agent Venom, it's a very strong bond and it's a balance between the both of them.
Right.
Hence why it's quite clean, it's cut back, he's gained a control with it.
Yeah.
So when Deadpool gets it that second time, they've got more of a mutual agreement to actually help each other.
Mm.
Hence why it's not this massive chaotic thing and the constant conflict in the head.
You see, like, well, we're going to go off slightly on a tangent as always, but you see,
we do.
That's the way it goes, isn't it? But you see, for me, like, I always kind of thought that I never liked the idea that the symbiote was this. I never liked that it was this living organism in the sense that it had its own personality and things like that. I mean, I always preferred it when it was like this initial thing where it just it needed the other person to survive, and it gave that person strength and abilities and everything else, rather than, because that's the one thing, like, I just, when I'd see the trailers for the movies when it's like coming out and it's speaking to Eddie, and I was just like, what so it's like this living thing that talks as a person rather than subtly controlling him and like that instead. I never maybe my understanding of what the symbiote is or was, maybe it's changed over the years, but that's one thing I could just never get my head around. I was just like, I don't like this thing where it's like got its own personality.
Yeah.
I always kind of liked that it just, like in Spider-Man the animated series, where it really does
Yeah.
just subtly control them, doesn't it? It's
Yeah, it
it's
corrupts you a little bit.
yeah, it's never a personality where it talks and says you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. It is just this thing of like they are being controlled by it, and they don't really know. They think it's their choice. They think it's their doing, their wish or whatever. But really, it is the symbiote. And I prefer that. I think that's far more scary and menacing than this thing that sort of comes out and has a direct conversation with him. I just thought that was too cartoonish, too ridiculous, and yeah, I didn't like the look of that in the movies, and whether that's any way actually reflectant of what the symbiote is in the comic these days, I don't know. But I was just like, nah, I don't like that.
Well, they kind of in the movies. I take a lot of it with a pinch of salt because they ruined how other symbiotes were created.
I mean, the whole thing's kind of like ruined anyway because the creation of like the symbiote Venom was very reliant on Spider-Man, which they obviously couldn't do because Sony couldn't use Spider-Man. Which obviously is a massive problem, but which I never really liked the idea that they decided to make a Venom movie without Spider-Man anyway. Didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it was like people kept trying to like, manifest a casting of bringing Andrew Garfield into it, just because he would have matched up with Tom Hardy's.
Yeah, I think so.
Eddie.
Yeah, I feel like
definitely wouldn't have been bad. It would have been a fun watch.
I feel like Andrew Garfield was robbed anyway. I think I don't think he ever really got the fair shot at making another one or two movies. I don't.
He was good. I'm gonna bring it down to poor writing.
Yeah. Again,
it was a good Spider-Man to watch.
I think so.
Peter Parker, it was a bit too cool.
Maybe
like,
so.
Visually, it looked too cool. Being the time that came out, to be an indie kid who skateboarded and took pictures, nah, you'd be dripping in it. There's no way. I was like, you aren't a geek, dude. No way.
No, I know what you mean.
But and then we'll have the topic on favorite Spider-Mans and all that lot another time.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's a tangent in itself, waiting to happen.
Yeah, well, I think that probably does need an episode of its own.
Yeah, probably most likely. Just we'll just talk about castings of movies. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good shout.
But yeah, oh my god, words. But
anything else? Any others that you felt have had like a massive impact on you?
All the other ones are just like favorite game characters and things like that. So, but they've not really had an impact. I've just enjoyed the stories and stuff. So I don't think
there's many others that
really.
Many others that have shaped you.
Yeah, like. No, I think I'm good with those ones. Yeah, yeah, I'm happy with them.
Cool. I think I've got a few, to be fair. I mean, you see, like, Batman's always been a constant in my life. I've always, you see, like when we did like our quickfire 10, I said Batman was my favorite superhero.
You did.
And although that is true, Batman was just always there, because when I was a kid, my first exposure to Batman was the Adam West Batman. So, but that's because
eyebrow Batman.
Yeah, exactly. But it's because that was on TV, but it was also I could watch it. It was. Well, yeah. I was young. That was like. It really was just always there, Batman. I don't ever, I was that young. I was never just sort of like introduced to it and just been like, holy shit. It was like that was my first exposure to superheroes, and I don't even really think I have a clear first memory of Batman, because again, my mum would just put the Adam West Batman on. So I remember, loving those with the whole crack, wham, bam, biff, all that kind of nonsense.
Ah, yeah.
And then Batman '89 came out with Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and I would have been 4 when that came out. So, and I remember my mum, I was too young to go see it at the cinema, but my mum was like, "Oh, there's a movie," and she got a pirated video of it. Okay, back in the day, videotapes.
Who didn't? Who didn't?
Yeah, and my mum, being the naughty lady that she is, she got us a video, a pirated copy of Batman. Now, when my mum said, "Oh, we've got a pirate copy of it," I didn't know what that meant, so I thought there was going to be Batman walking around with a swashbuckling hat and a sword and all the rest of it. But anyway, then the movie comes on, and I'm like, "Oh, here we go," and I loved it. I loved how dark it was, even though I was so young. I mean, by the time we got to watch it, I would have maybe been about 5 or something like that. I was young. And some of that stuff in that film's dark. It's even today, it's still pretty dark. And but I fucking loved it. And I was like, oh my God, this is my Batman. This is how I want to see Batman. I like this dark shit. And then in that movie, they did the whole Joker was the person who killed Batman's mum and dad, and that sort of messed me up for a while, because I thought that was what was true, because I only had the movie to go by, and then I realized that actually that's not the case. And then Batman the Animated Series came out, which was heavily inspired.
Very fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's very heavily inspired by the dark aesthetic and everything. A lot of the character designs was based off the Tim Burton look, and I fucking loved it. And so I think Batman was definitely an influence, in the sense that I loved these characters that sort of kept themselves to themselves and sort of only really spoke when they needed to say something, and actions spoke louder than words. Really, you commit yourself, and you do what you have to do.
They are words that he consistently says to all of his Robins.
Yeah, that's it. And he doesn't always let his emotions show either. The fact that he loves his Bat family, if you will. All the allies that he's had over the years, he loves them, and they are his family. But he don't voice it. He sort of keeps that to himself. Which actually isn't a very good way to live at all. You should, you should always tell the people that you love them.
Imagine that. If you want to be Batman, never have emotions. Hide everything.
Yeah.
You don't need to feel these things if you want to be Batman.
Bury them. Bury those feelings. What's the worst that could happen? You'll be fine. Everyone knows. Everyone knows burying your feelings leads you to being a fucking kick-ass superhero. So just do that. Why waste £55 a month on a private counsellor?
That's the takeaway, really, isn't it?
Why do it when you can be Batman? That's it. I'm not going to counsel.
There's me wanting to be Goku, and that's unachievable. When actually, I didn't need to face any of my issues.
No,
I could have just allowed myself to just calm down and
feel nothing.
Wear a cowl.
Yes, exactly.
And that's
so I'm going to.
If I could go back in time and tell my younger self one thing, it'd be that.
Yeah, and now that I'm talking about it out loud, I think I'm probably going to cancel my counselling on Monday now. So there we go. Sorted.
If you're wanting to be Batman, you're gonna need to do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So
I'll be your Alfred.
Oh yeah, boy. Nah, you'd definitely be Nightwing.
Oh, you know what? I was trying to tee you up for it, and you just absolutely home runned it.
But you would be.
I was trying to undersell myself for you to promote me. So I was like, I'll be Alfred.
There's nothing wrong.
No, you did Grayson. I'm like, oh, really?
Oh
What?
no, not the circus boy.
Oh,
Oh,
what? The guy that does loads of flips and has like two batons and stuff. I'm like, no, please.
and has a sense of humor. Oh man, please don't let me be that
Damn
guy.
it. Oh, good.
And
Okay, fine. I'll take it.
and you know what? I fucking love Nightwing as well. Like Dick
He's so
Grayson,
cool.
fucking badass.
He's one
So
of my favorite members of the Bat family.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that it's got to be Nightwing followed by Tim Drake Robin for me.
Ooh.
But obviously, I know
I,
a lot of people love Jason Todd because he becomes Red Hood. So and people love the
Yeah.
guns and shit. So,
but I think I only like that though because I like Deadpool. I
Well,
think I'm
yeah,
biased because of that.
it's very Red Hood. Sorry, it's very Deadpool-esque with the guns and the martial arts, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
When I played Gotham Knights, my first run through was with
Red Hood.
yeah.
So so I mean, like, so Batman was always there, and I don't know how much of an influence he has been on me as a person, but certainly on how I sort of see heroes, and you see that's the other thing for me. I suppose now that I'm thinking about it and I'm sort of talking, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I think there is something about Batman, but it's not just about Batman. It's about heroes that don't have powers. I've always been drawn to heroes that don't have powers because I think if you're there and you're a billionaire and you make a suit made of metal and you fly around, or you're someone like Thor, you know, you're practically a god, you're Superman and all the rest of it, you should be doing heroic things. You
Yeah,
know,
because you're born with these things.
you have
Mostly.
that's it. You have these abilities. You've either made them or you're born with it. That you have the ability to help others, and therefore you should. But for someone like Batman or my favorite Avenger, Hawkeye, villains like Bullseye, Daredevil. Okay, he has
Bullseye
powers.
is cool.
Yeah, I mean,
He seems like he should be supernatural, but he's
but
really
he's not.
cool.
That's it. But you see, these things.
Or would you count Daredevil as superpowers or not superpowers? Because in theory, it's actually just heightened senses.
Heightened senses, but he's trained his body to a point where he's one of the best fighters you'll find. His reactions
That's what I mean.
and everything.
Would you count it as superpowers or not superpowers?
It's a hard one because yes, he does have
It is. It is a line, isn't it? It's
It
a weird
is.
one.
It is a superpower in the sense that his senses are heightened. That gives him the edge, but he's the one that actually used that ability to become. Without his training, he's just a guy with heightened senses.
Blind guy.
Yeah, he's just a blind guy with heightened senses. But he's trained his body to be the fucking best. You know.
It's one of the reasons why I like Old Man Hawkeye.
Yeah.
When he becomes blind.
Fuck it! What a great read that is. Yeah.
Oh man, what Old Man Logan? What a book!
What a book! Yeah, incredible read.
Right, poor She-Hulk though.
Oh yeah.
That's
it's a tough read in the sense that it's not exactly. It's a bit bleak, isn't it? But
yeah, like
it's a great read though. And Old Man Hawkeye, I've got that book as well, and I loved reading that. I thought that was a great continuation of that sort of universe. But you see, again,
absolutely.
it's these types of characters that have pushed themselves to be fucking amazing, far beyond exceeding greatness, that draw me to them because
that's fair. I can respect that.
yeah, because it's characters like that where I'm like, that's true heroism. The fact that you are just a man or a woman and you're pushing yourself to be more than normal and that, you know, dedicating yourself to a cause. And I fucking love that. You know, I love
Absolutely.
and I really do. I think that has definitely had an impact on me. Is that, like, you know, if you're good at something, you should push yourself to be even better at it and to want to be the best, and then to use that for something great.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely something that has played a part of the way I look at things. And then I suppose, you know, I said in our first episode, my first obsession was X-Men, and There's so
Which is
many.
ironic because all of those have superpowers.
Yeah, exactly. And but I love X-Men because of all of all of the amazing characters, and they're all so different, and they all have such amazing backstories. And the one that I always was pulled to was Cyclops. He's my favorite
We've watched a few more episodes.
of '97.
Yeah,
Such a good
dude.
show.
Jesus Christ, man. Clone Jean.
Yeah, dude. Madeline Pryor.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, this is disturbing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Mr. Sinister, best X-Men villain.
As I said, what a bad guy, man.
Fucking
What a
great.
bad guy.
Another again, I'm drawn to these villains with a brain because Mr. Sinister, right? I love the fact that the vast majority of the time he spends his time in the shadows, working behind the scenes, pulling strings. Rarely things go wrong for the guy. He's always a few steps ahead of everybody else. But what I love about him is that if you encounter him, he's fucking dangerous. And that's the same with Emperor Palpatine. Exactly
Yeah.
the same. Albert
I'm
Wesker,
just annoyed that they. Yeah.
same again. Another villain, works behind the scenes, does.
I can't believe you didn't know who that was.
Oh, no,
God.
can you imagine, dude? Oh my god.
Like, you're literally wearing the shirt and everything.
Don't start. So, but yeah, these types of villains I fucking love. And anyway, but like Cyclops, he was always my favorite. And I think for me with Cyclops, what I love about him is that he's not the obvious choice to be your favorite, but he is so fucking good that if you actually take the time to get the guy and see what he really is, then you realise how fucking good he is. And I think that kind of, not to sound a little bit soppy, but I kind of feel a little bit like that, like about myself. That like,
Okay.
you know, I mean, I went through school. I had friends at school, but they were just sort of people I hung out with. You know, I wouldn't say that there were ever really friends that shared interests with me. We were just at school
get that.
together. We were just at school together. You know, I never had any friends at school that shared my interests. So we were never really friends on that level. But I was also very grateful that friends that I've kept now, who were like I hung out with they were my brother's friends and they've become my friends, and that is because they never really sort of judged the fact that I had these interests. They never dismissed my interests, but at least I had a lot of other interests that we did share, like movies and things like that. So there was lots of things that did draw me to other to the friends. But yeah, I always kind of felt like I was this person that like, well, if they fucking paid attention, they'd see that I'm not just this complete fucking loser. And I kind of felt like that about like Cyclops, is that like certainly in the original animated series, he was always dismissed as this side character to Wolverine, who was the main character. He was the obvious one. But I also really like that about Cyclops, is that, yeah, he probably knows deep down that Wolverine could take him. But I love the fact that he stands up to him. He's not scared of Wolverine. He's not.
Yeah.
Most people would back off or whatever, but Cyclops just don't take any of his shit. He's not scared of
his
him.
ground, doesn't he?
Yeah, stands his ground, not scared of him. And I've learned that as well, though, is to always stand your ground against whoever they are, bullies, whatever. Always stand your ground. And that leads me into the next character, and that is Vegeta from Dragon Ball.
That is fair.
Because he's another one where, like, although he stands up to people because he truly believes he's the strongest, but I like the fact that even at times when he's thinking to himself, I might not win this, he never shows that he couldn't, and he still stands his ground.
Yeah.
And
he just tries and tries and tries.
And he exuberates that level of confidence where people are just like, oh shit, I think I might be in trouble here. You know, like, this guy's not fucking scared at all.
In the Frieza saga, he is terrifying. The amount of times like he goes back to fight Frieza, as soon as anyone else is about to be gone, he's back up there. Even though he knows he's not going to win. He knows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's lost that many times and he get battered and knocked to a side that many times, and that's where I think his redemption at least starts.
It's that unwavering confidence I always like about Vegeta. You know, I like the fact
Yeah.
that he's very much a loner character as well. You know, he's often there at the side, just listening, waiting for his moment. But it's that sort of like unshaking, unwavering confidence.
The more you talk about characters the way that you're talking about it, the more I see how you've built Fade.
Oh yeah, it's my
Vegeta and Batman is this. That's what it is.
and
The whole standing at the side waiting for his moment.
yeah, oh
This
yeah.
mysterious hooded figure. That is Batman Vegeta. That's what you are.
And for people who don't know who we're talking about, Fade is my character in our D&D campaign. So
I'll see if it's going to let me focus it, but I doubt it will.
yeah, that's him basically. He's got his sword there, the coat, the hood up. Yeah, that's my dude.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, and I always really like these kind of characters, and I don't know if they've like unwittingly had some kind of influence on me, but I do like characters that, I mean, I'm a very sarcastic person as well. I always like characters that are extremely sarcastic.
Love it.
I'm very much attracted to characters like that. That no filter, no, just extremely sarcastic. Can be quite blunt as well, but you see, like I think I can be pretty blunt, but I would never be blunt to be mean though. You know, I think sometimes like
See, that's where I kind of... I have a habit of taking a good thing too far.
mm,
And I'm like, oh, people are laughing. Ha! Let's push the domino down. You know what I mean? Let's see how far I can push this.
yeah. I hate it when I find out if I've offended someone, because I never want to offend anybody unless they've deserved it, and then I'll make it clear that they deserved it. But I never, if in my time of being maybe a little unfiltered, or maybe being a little bit blunt or whatever, I'll only ever be that way if I've felt like it's needed to be said. And if it's offended someone, then I am sorry. But I think I draw a lot of like, you know, I draw a lot of inspiration from characters again, like Vegeta and things like that, where it's just like, just fucking say it how it is. Let's just get this over with. And I also think that came a lot from like being at school as well. Like it's just like, well, just fucking tell people, just be honest. Everyone else is gonna be, so just fucking do it. And then X-Men. I really like the philosophy of X-Men as well, though. You know, it's I think it has a really deep-seated, relevant, certainly in today's society, of prejudice for for no fucking reason at all, and
Yeah.
that it's bullshit. I think you'll have seen it anyway in the last sort of few episodes with X-Men '97. I think
with
the
the
best,
court case and everything like that, and
honestly,
like,
some of the most incredible writing, not just in an animated series, but in anything. And I fucking love that line. I don't know it verbatim, but I'll do my best to recite it. And I think it's like so fucking crucial. Like, I mean, whenever I see that scene, I still get goosebumps and tears in my eyes because I think it is so fucking poignant and relevant. And
is this where Magneto's in space?
yeah, and he calls the three judges and then the executioner as well. He calls him a bigot, sycophant, ingrate, and then he calls the executioner a worm. And
I'm loving Magneto in this
he's
show, man.
fucking incredible. Anyway, and he says, and they're up in space. Well, more or less in space. They're up like in higher atmosphere, aren't they? And they're looking down at planet Earth, and he's got them all suspended up in the air. And he says to him, a friend has challenged me to see this view of the world, how vast it is, versus how small we make it, and that your kind doesn't have to accept. What does he say? It doesn't have to accept, but merely accept that this is a shared world,
Yeah.
and like
We
yours,
both live in it, kind of thing.
and like yours has the right to live in it. And I'm just like, fucking hell. Like, how relevant is that? You know, the fact that X-Men was written as this sort of like precursor to racial fucking discrimination and the differences between challenging it from two perspectives, that being Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and that one wanted acceptance and the other one wanted segregation between the two and their own whatever. But the fact that that's still so relevant now, I mean, because that was in the fucking 60s or whatever, you know, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, we're still talking about this now. I mean, how fucking pathetic is that? You know, it's like, but it's powerful stuff, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's what I also love about X-Men and why it still plays such a heavy part in my morals. And it's just that, like, Jesus Christ, like, I can't believe that we're still having this problem. Like,
The thing is, everybody wants peace, but no one's afraid to do it.
well, yeah, you know, and but also like no one's afraid to like just accept that there's differences and to want change. You know, like the fact that we still want to just separate ourselves all the time, and it's so fucking pathetic. I hate it, and I think like I've drawn a lot of good principles and morals from the things I've grown up with. One thing actually that I've just missed on, and I've just remembered.
Yeah.
On when I was about 14, 15, that was where I got when I got into wrestling. Now, like, wrestling before that was mainly fucking Big Boss Man, Hulk Hogan and all that shit, and I hated it because it was too cartoony and it was ridiculous. But then when it sort of moved into the Attitude Era, which was The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was my favourite. I always loved The Rock, but I really loved Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I think he's another one that's been quite an influence on me because he was another one who I was just like, don't be afraid of authority figures. Stand up for yourself. And it sounds ridiculous because it's even in the Attitude Era, it was still very cartoonish. But I loved this fact that, like, don't be afraid to fucking stand up to your boss, even. You know, it's like, if you've got something to say, say it. You know, just don't be afraid of anybody or anything. You know, just stand up for whatever you think's right, and that's all that fucking matters. And stand up for yourself. And I think that was always a really big sort of like influence on the way I live my life. And I still do it now. Charlotte always goes, when like I'm walking even, like, I don't know if I've done this subconsciously, because I certainly haven't done it consciously, but Charlotte's like, you've got a right fucking swagger with the way you walk. And I don't know if I got that from Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm not going to lie. Because like the way he walks, he has got a swagger. But Charlotte's like done it a few times. We've been like walking around London or whatever. And she's like, God, you got a right fucking swagger on you, haven't you? And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, you always have though. Like, and
then when it's pointed out, you start walking real weird.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean,
get out to walk, and it's like,
yeah, I don't know what you're on about, and then you're fucking like dragging your arms, like, you know, like a monkey or something. I don't know, but yeah, I've certainly never done it on purpose.
Command,
yeah. And you're right. When Charlotte brings it up, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then I really start like walking weird. You know,
walking with same arm and same legs at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and really clenching my butt cheeks and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's definitely a recurring theme through the things that have like made me who I am. Cool. And a lot of the time it tends to be about like standing up for yourself and just not being afraid to just be who you want to be and don't take shit off people, basically.
Okay. I have a little funny thing.
Go
on. With all of your the heroes that made you and people that made you, have you ever had like a birthday party or a theme of sorts around any of these characters? Like a Batman party?
No, I don't think I have, but there's one thing that I do remember, and that was when I was really into X-Men. My mum got me a birthday cake with Cyclops on it.
Okay.
There was a baker's in Anlaby, which is where I lived, and there was a baker's there called McLeish's, and they used to make cakes there, and you could get like pictures put on them, not printed. They were like, it was like sort of like gel icing type thing, you know.
Okay.
And my mum was like, "What would you like on your cake?" And I didn't think this was ever going to happen. I was just like, I was right in the middle of my X-Men phase, which has never stopped because I'm 20 odd years later and I'm still in my X-Men phase. Probably 30,
So at the
30
start
odd.
of the phase.
Yeah, the start of the ongoing phase. I'm still in it. So, and I was like, I'd love a Cyclops cake. And I was like, oh, that's never going to happen. Cyclops cake. What the fuck does that mean? And lo and behold, on my birthday cake with this picture of Cyclops. And what my mum had done is she'd taken my X-Men sticker book into the baker's. You know, she couldn't provide a picture or anything because there was no internet. So she took my X-Men sticker book with this perfect picture of Cyclops' fucking face. And they did that for me. And they put that on there. And it was awesome. And that will be one birthday I will always remember. And my mum's a fucking legend for it. Go on. There was just one last thing I needed to add. And I always remember it as well, though, is because the visor was, the middle bit was blacked out rather than red. And that was because they'd run out of red icing. But it still looked cool because it looked like his visor wasn't active.
Yeah.
It didn't look out of place. It still looks good.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I always really, really remember that, and I was just like, "This is so fucking cool that I get an X-Men birthday cake," and I was buzzing. Go on.
Oh, dude, superhero themed birthday cakes something that stays locked inside my head will stay locked inside my head forever.
Mm-hmm.
I was 7, my 7th birthday, and I didn't invite any friends, but I had a Spider-Man themed birthday.
Okay.
Spider-Man balloons and all that galore, and I had this awesome Spider-Man head, like birthday cake. I was like, cool. I was just like, I'm gonna eat all that. I was like, I'm gonna eat it all. So after I blew the candles out and everyone, like my sisters, went outside and stuff, I peeled all the fondant off, and I rolled it into like a ball. And I just had this like ball of fondant, and I started eating it like an apple.
Oh, dude.
Oh god, I was unwell.
Well, yeah, you would be. Yeah,
I was very unwell, and from that day, I have not been a fan of fondant.
I can respect that.
And
it's incredibly sweet, and eating that much in one go is probably enough to traumatize any person.
I remember I had like a real red face, and a lot in my mouth was bleeding because I was like, it was a very dark red Spider-Man, and I'm just like there, just like eating. And I was like, oh. I'm still eating it, feeling like absolute ass. I didn't get through it all because, you know what I mean. It wasn't like a large cake, but it was like it was like a good size, like a side dish size.
Yeah.
So when you peel the fondant off, like what encases it all, it becomes a lot, like the size, probably a bit more than an apple, maybe like the size of a mango.
Yeah.
And I'm just there, just 7 years old, just popping it like an apple, and never again.
That sounds grim.
Never again.
Yeah.
I pushed through fondant, or if someone has a fondant cake, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Peel the fondant off and put it to a side, and I'll just eat the sponge.
I mean, I tend to do that anyway because I'm not a massive fan of fondant because it is very sweet. So eating that much of it in one go, I can understand why that would cripple you.
Don't get me wrong, buttercream, lemon cakes, dude. Oh, fucking cheesecakes.
And your birthday is coming up as well, Logan. So you don't want a birthday cake with fondant. Indeed.
I don't. I would not like that. I'll be telling Kira.
Yeah, well. Well, if she knows you, I'm sure she already knows.
I hope so. She made me a cheesecake once. It was like a dime cheesecake, I think, if I remember it right, or it might have been a plain one. I honestly can't remember. I think the dime chocolate one, I think she got someone else to make that. I honestly can't remember. But she has made one though, but the cheese was like super soft. It depends on how you do it because I like both types. I like the fluffy one, but I also like a real wet cheesecake too. It's all good. It's just cheesecake, dude. New York is just or caramel or whatever else. It's all good cake and lemon cake, dude. If it's juiced right, I know I'm tangenting about cake now. But if they like cake it with lemon like filler and then put some like real nice like zesty buttercream on it,
That's
it's
yeah,
pretty fucking good.
that's a tart cake. That's a lot of lemon. That's very
Basically,
tart.
yeah. As long as it's juiced right, man, I'll be gobbling it. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do that with your hands when you say that.
Do you not eat cake like that?
I might eat something like that, but
Just not cake.
no.
I think it very much is cake dependent. Am I right?
Well, yes, I suppose you are right. Okay, so yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else that like where I feel like I've had characters that have really had an impact on me. I would say some of them have probably been Batman, varying characters of X-Men, but most likely Cyclops. Characters which don't have powers, characters like Hawkeye, Daredevil, Punisher. You know, that's another one.
He's a good one. Good old Frankie Castle.
Gotta love him. But yeah, I think all of these sorts of characters, you know, I think I said Vegeta, didn't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've all had like an input in some way, shape, or form. You know, Star Wars has been its own influence in a way.
Yeah, that's absolutely. That's one of the reasons I didn't mention it. Is because it's like it's almost like its own thing. And if I spoke about Star Wars, it'd almost start to feel like mentioning favorite video game characters. It's like I'm just talking about something that I like instead of something that's made me in a way.
And I think
that's
it,
why I was struggling to make a choice. It's like I'm talking about things that I like now instead of things going, oh, this is what's helped create this.
Yeah. And as I look around my room, I'm just like, yeah, I'm filled with things that I love, but how many of these things actually really did shape me as a person? And there's a difference, isn't there? There's a difference between what has shaped you and what has.
What you like.
I mean, one thing I will say, which is really strange, but like, even like when I first played Resident Evil, and then there was like Albert Wesker, I was always, and ever since, always really liked the characters that looked like Wesker. So the dark colours, the sunglasses, slick back hair, always looking real sharp and things like that. To the point where now, like when I make characters in things, they always tend to have like a very Weskery look. Like when I play Division and Division 2, my characters always had that shades look. You know, they always wore sunglasses, and that's a really strange thing. Like it's definitely had an influence that, like, I think my character creation's always very shaped by Albert Wesker. You know, I always loved that dark clothes, sunglasses aesthetic. Like sunglasses now, like I always get like square lenses, very reminiscent of Wesker style sunglasses. And that's also a choice of the fact that I've got a really round head, so round lenses don't lend themselves very well to me. Like aviators, because they're such big lenses and they're round, I look like a fly, so I tend to get square lenses. But still, I'm always like, yeah, they look very Wesker sunglasses. I like those, you know, and so I make choices like that. But
cool.
Yeah, I'm just looking around and characters like Rorschach. Have you ever seen Watchmen?
Yes, a long time ago.
Rorschach. Rorschach is a fucking great character, and I love that book. I love the film that they did of it. But a character like Rorschach, who's just this guy, most people would underestimate him. He's short, but he's fucking dangerous, you know, and he's just not afraid just to keep standing up to what's right, you know, not backing down from shit. Carries on going when he really shouldn't. You know, heroes have been outlawed. Masked heroes have been outlawed, but he still does it. You know, and he knows that there's something more going on, and he's trying to. He feels like he's the only one standing up against it, and I love that a character like that. You know, and I remember reading that when I was younger, and I was just like, that's a fucking great character. You know, that's what makes a great fucking hero. You know, all right, yeah, he's maybe morally grey, and bit scary, but he's great. He's awesome. So, yeah, very much like characters like that. So, yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Well, I think that's been a good discussion about our lives,
Yeah, a little bit more about us, basically.
about our foundations, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it too. But I think that's probably a good place for us to leave it.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed that though.
Absolutely.
That was really
Right, it's been
cool.
quite nice.
Yeah, a trip down memory lane.
Indeed. And nice little reminiscent on the fondant situation, which is gross, and now I gotta get it out of my head.
Yeah, go and eat something else, and that'll make you forget.
Yeah.
Go get
Oh,
yourself a
yeah.
little cheesecake or something.
Just a little update as well, guys. Is I have started playing Resident Evil 2,
Mm.
and
And-
I'm enjoying it.
I was gonna say, and you're enjoying it as well, aren't you?
I am so far, yeah. I actually am. It's I can't lie. The scariest part of the game is being chased by. I forgot his name because I
Mr.
haven't played it in a
X.
few days.
Mr.
No.
X.
It became annoying, but luckily I had the ammo to keep putting him down. But oh my god, the police captain,
The police captain.
the one that you find out he's the police captain, but he's the one that took the little girl, took Sherry.
Oh no, you mean William Birkin? You mean the scientist dude? Oh no, no, you're talking about the scene where you play as Sherry.
Yes, and you're running away from the police captain.
Yes, that's a good scene, but tough.
I was in my head. Then I was like, I think again, like what me and you said before, like the reason why it was scary is because you can't fight back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hate that. I hate chaser games. I was like, oh god. I was like, leave me alone.
You're just like, why can't this little girl have a gun? It is America after all.
Absolutely. But she's just running around like this.
Yeah.
Like, literally like a meerkat. I was like, this is kind of funny. It's taken away from the fear a little bit, but it's okay.
Just to make her even more meek and fragile, as we'll have her running around like a meerkat. Yeah. Great game though. I'm going to be moving on to Oblivion soon. I've just got a couple of games just to clear up on for my YouTube channel, and then I'll be playing Oblivion. So that'll be fun.
Very nice.
But the only thing is that we're in the middle of a heat wave, and me being up here in this room, it's fucking stifling, and I'm dying.
It is warm.
It's really
too warm, dude.
It's really warm. But
But
no, that's cool. I'll have a think about what we're going to do for next episode. I can't think of anything. I've got a few ideas, but I'll think of something.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
but I think that's probably a good place for us to leave it.
Indeed.
So thanks very much, everybody, for listening. If you've got some
Absolutely,
ideas of
thank
I mean, if you've got some ideas of what you'd like us to cover, some things you'd like us to hear us talk about, you can drop them on our Instagram or on my YouTube channel, just in the comments below, or you can reach us on our Facebook page. Go and give those a follow. We'd really appreciate it. Whatever format. Go on.
I was just saying, also let us know some heroes that have helped influence you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, join the...
Not necessarily heroes, just characters.
That's it. Anything. If you're just like, yeah, well, I always kind of felt like I molded myself a little bit off X, Y, and Z. Do that. It'd be cool to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Absolutely.
And yeah, whatever format you're listening on, please don't feel inclined to do so. But if you are enjoying it, give it a like. So thumbs up on YouTube, a star rating on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. These kinds of things really, really do help the podcast get found and noticed by others. So if you're enjoying it and you think other people will as well, best way to do that is to either share it directly with someone or to give it some sort of rating, liking, interacting in some way with it, because it just really does push it out there. So if you can do that, we'd really, really appreciate it. But again, please don't feel inclined to do so. We are just grateful that you're here listening. So thank you very much.
Indeed.
But is there anything else from you, my dude?
I think I'm all good until next time, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So, okay, everybody, thank you very much for listening, watching, whatever, and we will catch you in the next one. So, thank you. See you later. Bye.